The camera shakes slightly as the video begins. A man stands near a security checkpoint, his hands raised slightly, confusion and fear written all over his face. Around him, people are watching, filming, whispering. Behind him, large airport windows flood the scene with pale morning light. "Sir, step back," a voice commands. The officer's tone is clipped, hard. "I said step back." The man's voice cracks. I haven't done anything." But no one answers. The hum of the airport feels heavier now, and in the middle of it all, this single man, ordinary, well-dressed, exhausted, becomes the center of everyone's lens. This was supposed to be just another flight. Instead, it became a moment the world wouldn't forget.
His name was Amir, 36 years old, a marketing director from Toronto, flying home after a week-long business trip in Munich. He'd cleared every check, smiled at every guard, done everything right. But as he stood at gate B22, waiting for boarding, two security officers approached him. "Excuse me, sir, can we have a word?" The question was calm, but something in their eyes wasn't. People turned to look as Amir followed them a few steps away. "We received a report," one officer said. "We just need to verify something." "A report?" Amir asked, confused. "About what?" The officer didn't answer. He motioned for a bag check. Amir opened it willingly. Laptop, clothes, chargers, documents, all neatly packed. Still, they went through every pocket, every compartment. Passengers nearby began to slow down, curious. Phones came out. Someone whispered, "What's going on?" Another muttered, "He probably did something." Amir heard every word. His mouth went dry. He tried to keep calm, but his voice trembled when he spoke. "Can you please tell me what's happening?" One officer shrugged, eyes on the scanner. "Routine screening." The other kept a hand on his radio. Routine. That word again, the word that covered everything and explained nothing. The airport noise faded. He could hear the tap of shoes on the floor, the roll of suitcases, the faint chime of a boarding call. But in his head, all he heard was his own heartbeat. Then a woman's voice from the crowd broke the silence. "I'm recording this," she said firmly. A few others nodded, phones raised. The officers stiffened. "Ma'am, please step back," one said. "No," she replied. "If it's routine, there's no problem with people seeing it." Amir looked up, his eyes glistening. For the first time, he wasn't invisible. Someone saw him. The officer finished checking his bag and looked at his passport again. "Born in Lebanon?" "Yes," Amir replied softly. "Canadian citizen." "And you've been in Europe for how long?" "A week." The officer exchanged a glance with his partner, that silent, unreadable look Amir had seen too many times before. Then came the phrase that made his stomach drop. "Can you come with us to the secondary area, sir?" Amir took a step back. "Why?" "We just need clarification." "On what?" "Please, sir." The firmness in their tone wasn't optional. The small crowd that had gathered shifted uncomfortably. Some stopped recording, afraid to get involved. Others kept their cameras up, their faces tight with quiet outrage. Amir walked ahead of the officers, his back straight, his breath shallow. They led him through a glass door into a private inspection room, white walls, sterile light, a metal table in the center. He sat, waiting. The questions came again, each sharper than the last. "What's the purpose of your travel? Who did you meet? Why did you change flights last minute? Do you have connections in the Middle East?" Amir's patience cracked. "I told you, I'm a marketing director. You can call my company." "We will," one replied coldly. "Until then, please remain seated." Time blurred. Minutes felt like hours. When they finally let him go, Amir walked out dizzy, humiliated. The crowd had thinned, but a few people were still there. One woman lowered her phone and said quietly, "I'm so sorry." He nodded weakly. He couldn't even look at her. By the time he boarded, the cabin felt like a cage. He kept his eyes on the floor, his hands clasped tight. His phone buzzed, messages from friends. The video had already gone viral. Someone had uploaded it to social media with the caption, "Man stopped at airport for no reason. This needs to stop." Within hours, it was everywhere. Millions of views, comments flooding in. Some defended the officers, others demanded justice. But for Amir, the world's attention didn't erase what happened. It just made the pain public. He wasn't angry at the woman who filmed it. In fact, he was grateful. Without her, no one would have believed it. But every time he saw his own face online, scared, cornered, small, he felt exposed. That wasn't how he wanted to be remembered. A week later, a journalist reached out. "Can I tell your side of the story?" she asked. Amir hesitated, then agreed. In the interview, he spoke carefully. This isn't about one airport or one country. It's about a system that sees some people as threats before they even speak. The interviewer asked, "What hurt the most?" Amir thought for a moment. "It's not the search," he said quietly. "It's the way people looked at me, like I was something dangerous, like I deserved it." The video became a turning point. Activists called for transparency in airport screening algorithms. Travelers began sharing their own experiences. A few security officers even spoke anonymously, admitting that some systems use name-based risk filters that unfairly targeted people from specific regions. Amir's story had become more than a viral clip. It was a mirror. It showed the world how easily prejudice could hide behind protocol. Months passed, the noise faded, but every time Amir walked into an airport, he still felt that familiar tension in his chest. The difference now was that he knew he wasn't alone. He'd received thousands of messages from strangers, pilots, students, travelers, thanking him for not staying silent. The day it happened, he was a victim. But in the end, he became something stronger. Proof. Proof that truth, once seen, can't be unseen.
If you've ever seen a moment like this and thought, someone should say something, remember, you are that someone. What happened to Amir wasn't a misunderstanding. It was a reflection of how deep bias runs in systems that claim to protect us. It's quiet, procedural, and devastatingly real. The phones that filmed that day didn't just capture a man being questioned, they captured the reality millions face every time they travel. And that's why this story matters. Share this video because awareness starts with witnessing. When you show this story to others, you remind the world that respect should never depend on your name, your skin, or where you were born. Comment below if you've ever seen or experienced something similar. Your story can empower others to speak. Subscribe for more real stories that expose hidden truths the world needs to hear. Every view, every share, every conversation matters, because airport racism doesn't end at the gate. It follows people into their lives, their jobs, their dreams. But it can end if enough of us refuse to look away. So the next time you're in an airport and you see someone being treated unfairly, don't just walk by. Remember Amir. Remember the phones that turned silence into evidence. Remember that sometimes filming isn't about going viral. It's about making sure the world never forgets what it saw. Because truth caught on camera can't be erased. And that's where real change begins.